3-point deficit for the Lakers.
From the logo! SGA knocks it down! Wow!
For Oklahoma City, Hornets have one. Gilgeous-Alexander. Long two. Oh, goodness! Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
All you need is a two to tie the ball game. Ball to Muscala. Back to the basket, looking to distribute. Finds Shai. Shai steps back on the three. On the wing. He's good. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander shatters the hopes of the Clippers.
After being underrated for so long, it appears that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is finally starting to get the recognition he deserves. This week he was announced as the Western Conference Player of the Week. Not to mention he also started the year off with a bang, where on November 4th he led the Thunder to a 26-point comeback, the largest in franchise history. That night he also put up a 27-point, 9-rebound, 5-assist performance, famously pulling up from the logo of the Staples Center to ice out the Lakers. What's up guys, today we're talking about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and how he has long been one of the most underrated players in the NBA. The Oklahoma City Thunder are undergoing a deep rebuild. Their GM, Sam Presti, is famous for accumulating a slew of draft picks in the next few years. Right now, the team sits with around 15 first-round draft picks between now and 2024. While they may not get all of these due to protections, this is still an insane amount of draft picks for a team to have in the next few years. But still, forming a championship team is more than just drafting players. It's about developing stars and having leaders on teams. The Thunder have found their centerpiece with their point guard, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. For many people, Shai has slipped in between the cracks when talking about the 2018 draft class. I can understand why, as this class is absolutely loaded, with guys who have already established themselves as stars such as DeAndre Ayton, Luka Doncic, and Trae Young. But coming out of Kentucky, Shai was one of the top guards in the country, averaging 14 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists per game while shooting 40% from 3. But still, he fell all the way to 11th pick, below guys like Young, Doncic, and Alabama guard Colin Sexton. Scouts were worried about Shai as he did have a few holes in his game. One was his athleticism. Shai was never the fastest or strongest guy on the court in college, something that could easily be exploited in the NBA. At the time of the draft, Shai was 6'6" and weighed 180 pounds. But to complement his lack of pure athleticism, Shai developed one of the craftiest games of anyone in this class, with the ability to hit tough, awkward shots, make plays for his teammates, or even with a solid pull-up shooting game. Another interesting aspect he shares is a 7-foot wingspan, something we don't often see in guards. A long wingspan like that allows him to shoot over others or masterfully play in the passing lanes on defense. Shai's rookie year was quite forgettable. He was originally coming off of the bench for the Clippers, but in a backcourt with Avery Bradley and Patrick Beverley, the Clippers were lacking a real offensive attack. A few weeks into the season, Doc Rivers moved Shai into the starting lineup. Despite starting most of the games, Shai averaged around 11 points, 3 rebounds, and assists on average shooting splits. He also made the all-rookie second team. While Shai did show some promise in his rookie year, the Clippers were about to undergo a massive one-year rebuild, which included sending him, Danilo Gallinari, and a ton of draft picks the Clippers had all the way to the Oklahoma City Thunder. This turned out to be the best thing that could ever happen for Shai. In the 2019-2020 season, the Thunder were expected to be one of the worst teams in the league, but thanks to another trade, sending Chris Paul to the Thunder for Russell Westbrook, the Thunder shocked the league by winning 44 of the 70 games in their pandemic-shortened season. The Clippers pushed the Rockets towards a Game 7 where they lost in 2 points in the first round. In that series, Shai had also put up a 30-point performance in a Game 2. In only his second season, Shai was already averaging 19 points per game, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, while keeping up the same efficiency from last year. But in the next season, in the absence of Chris Paul, more weight was put onto Shai's shoulders, and this was a struggling Thunder's team. We're talking where the next best players were Lou Dort and a past his prime Al Horford. Even more defensive attention was put on Shai. But Shai excelled. He put up 24 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists while shooting 41% from 3 with a 63% true shooting percentage. However, his season was cut short in March as he was diagnosed with plantar fasciitis, a condition that isn't usually too serious but can often take a long time to recover from. Shai was shut down from his breakout season. Shai was also in the running for most improved player, and he probably wouldn't have won it due to Brandon Ingram breaking out as a star, but he likely would have been a runner-up in the award race. Shai had a clear impact on the record for the Thunder that season. In the games he played, the Thunder were 16-19, not great but pretty solid for a rebuilding team. However, without Shai, the Thunder were 6-31, basically making them a poverty franchise without him. When Shai was on the court, the Thunder had an offensive reason of 109. When he was off the court, he had an offensive rating of 101, the worst in the league. And this year, it appears that Shai is still keeping up some of the amazing stats that he's putting up last year. About 30 games into the season, his three-point ball is the one thing that hasn't carried over from last year. This year, he's shooting around 30%. However, he's also been taking more threes off the dribble, and he's also been attempting more shots in a difficult Thunder offense that does not help him. However, his mid-range shooting has seen a range he's improved at about 6%, making him one of the better mid-range shooters in the league. Although his three-point leaves a lot more to be desired, it can be explained through a lack of other offensive weapons, and an increased percentage of shots can explain his dip in efficiency. The most elite aspect of his game is his ability to attack the hoop. This year, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander leads the league when it comes to points scored while driving. He averages 13 points per game. The next closest are Ja Morant and De'Aaron Fox at around 12. He also ranks towards the top when it comes to efficiency and assists generated from drives. But the way he attacks the hoop is different. As I mentioned earlier, he's not an athlete that will jump over you, power through you, or run around you. Instead, Shai has an eloquent chaos to his game that is impossible to guard. Shai has tight handles, especially for someone with a wingspan such as his. He is masterful with hesitations and getting the defense to go the wrong way. He is excellent when it comes to using the backboard, using his left or right hand, or being able to make a shot when jumping with the wrong foot. He has no problem floating the ball over a big man or scooping it under a defender just to get the 2 points. Shai has an incredibly unorthodox way of finishing at the hoop, but it's this crafty playstyle that allows him to be one of the best finishers in the game. For many people, the true measure of a superstar comes down from their ability in the clutch. Who can hit the go-ahead shot when the stakes are the highest? NBA.com defines clutch as a game with less than 5 minutes remaining that is separated by 5 or less points. It's not the most extensive definition, but it's what we have to go with. For the parameters, I only counted players who were in more than 10 clutch games and average at least 1 field goal made during that time. This is to prevent a few guys with only 1 shot from skewing the data. In 16 games, Shai is ranked 11th in the league by averaging about 3.5 points per game in those situations at a field goal percentage of 45%. This is on the level or even above other stars such as DeMar DeRozan, Jason Tatum, Trae Young, and Devin Booker. So if you're wondering, yes, Shai has the clutch gene as well. Despite calling himself the Black Steve Nash this September, Shai's playmaking has remained relatively similar numbers-wise, but he has dropped his turnover percentage by about 4%. While a point guard averaging 5 assists per game isn't ideal, it can be explained quite easily. First off, this is a Thunder team that is struggling. When Shai is on the court, they have an offensive rating of 105.2, which is still about 4th worst in the league. But when he is off the court, this team's offensive rating drops to 95.2. For comparison, the Detroit Pistons have the worst offense in the league at 101.1. So this team is absolutely awful without him on the court. This means that Shai is basically getting no help from his teammates when it comes to either shot creation or making shots from his passes. The Oklahoma City Thunder lack any real shot creators. The next highest scorer on the Thunder is Lou Dort, who scores about 17 points per game. However, Dort is assisted on half of his 2-point attempts and 90% of his 3-point attempts. This is anything but a winning formula. Virtually every other player on the Thunder who takes a high volume of shots is assisted. Now I know Shai can get a bucket and he can do it much better than most other players in the league, but less than 1% of his shots coming from assists is a complete failure. Defensively, I think Shai also has a ton of potential. At his height with a 7-foot wingspan, he could defend the passing lanes like no one else, and would have no problem switching on from anyone from a point guard to even a power forward. I think he's someone that if he can improve his defense, he can average about a steal and a half as well as a block per game, as he would be one of the better perimeter shot blockers. However, I think he is a bit held back by his weight, as he still only weighs about 180 pounds. A skinny frame like that will allow for others to bully him, and while I expect he has a long time left in the league, he just hasn't shown to been gaining any weight. But of course, this is the modern NBA. We've seen many players come back absolutely ripped in just one offseason. OKC lacks anybody who can really create their own shot, but thankfully, Shai isn't the only gifted passer on the team. here's Josh Giddey, the one who I think can actually elevate Shai's game to another level. So far this year, the rookie has been putting up 10 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists. His most notable skill set has been his passing game, where he's already shown to be a gifted passer at a young age. Much like Shai, Giddey isn't the most athletic player out there. So far he hasn't shown to be much of a shooter, only shooting 25% from 3 this year. But Giddey is also a creative scorer who relies on finesse and skill more than anything else. To top it off, he possesses a guard-like skill set while standing 6'8". This combined with the 6'6" Alexander gives OKC potential for a very unique backcourt. He is only 18 years old and is one of the better players in the league, still below average defending and shooting wise, but he has a ton of potential that I think he can live up to. And I think he can match perfectly with Shai. Shai has a unique skill set that we don't see in a lot of other NBA players. I think he has the potential to be an all-NBA level player, and if he can gain a little more weight, an all-NBA defensive player as well. He has a unique scoring ability and can shoot from just about anywhere, all while being one of the best passers in the league. And while I haven't mentioned it, Shai is also a tenacious rebounder, being one of the best rebounding guards in the league. This is a guy who I think can also be a triple-double machine. It appears that he may already have his number 2 in Josh Giddey, a teenager who's already ready for the NBA and can grow perfectly with Shai. In the next few years, I think we can really see this Thunder team start coming together. In 2023, the Thunder will have 2 max contract spots available, and by then, they will have been able to use up most of those draft picks or trade them for more value. In just 2 years, Shai will be at his prime at 25 years old. Giddey will develop along with Lou Dort, someone who I think has an incredible 3-and-D value. The Thunder with an absurd amount of draft picks, 2 max contract spots, and some proven stars. Watch out for this team. While they may be seen as a free win for now, make no mistake, they have one of the brightest futures in the NBA, and that is thanks to star guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.